Alright, so a few things I'm getting done on Chris's car. Got the purge in. We capped it on the one side, rented up the window there. I put these glaze clusters in. We just zip tied them down to these things. And yeah, there's that. I still got to hook the line up to the back of that one. I had to super glue that one in there because it didn't have the brackets these ones had. Then if y'all seen the other video, I put a standalone fuel pump and regulator in and a fuel cell for the nitrous. That runs down through there, up there, and up there. So that's all hooked up. Still, the pump still needs wired in. And I got this fuel rail to work. If you watched one of my, I don't know if I put that in a video or not, but this thing was leaking really bad. And what they did was they had metal shims up here. And one of them was real bent, real bad right out of the box. But either way, it was leaking from both of them with that metal shim. Fortunately, that other one that we had on there had rubber seals up there. So I took the rubber seals off the other one, put them up there. And then this hole was leaking, which was expected. And then I put the gauge with that Teflon tape on there. And yeah, it don't leak no more. But I do need to, we was running the nitrous off of this. I do need to take that off and get a 3/8 MPT plug for that. And then we're going to drop the tank. And we're going to drop the tank and put a different fuel sending unit in it. This is the sending unit he got for it. We're going to put that in. And then we got the braided hose to run all the way up to the front. And here's where we're at with the floor pans. I'm not really good at welding those. I patched a little piece right there. I put that piece in. I put those other two pieces in. This piece over here still needs welded a little bit more. Then on this side we replaced this whole piece. And then I put those two pieces in there. So that was a nightmare, getting those to fit right on both sides. And then I just like spot welded a couple of spots here that were bad. And then I put a plate right there. But all that still needs, this side just needs grounded down and painted, I guess. That side needs a little bit more welding and grinding. And then we got this part of the cage in. We just got that sitting in there, but we just got that tacked in for right now. And Chris is going to be here in a little bit tonight. And we're going to finish up the floor pans. Might have a welder buddy coming over tomorrow. The one guys from that one video, they weren't able to come back out and help me. They're real busy too on the weekends. I'm glad they came out and helped what little bit they did though. A few weekends ago. But I got a buddy I went to school with. He's going to come out and tomorrow hopefully and help us weld. If not, me and Chris are going to try our best at it. Also, Chris's speedometer cable keeps unraveling on itself, so I'll put this transmission plug in. But now I have that my glue dried on that to hold the gauge into the bracket there. So I'll put the line back on. I'm going to put a nitrous tank in there. Make sure nothing's leaking. See if that gauge reads right. Well, I don't have any full bottles, but this one reads about 600. So we'll put this one on, make sure we don't have any leaks, and see if the gauge up there reads correctly. Well, unfortunately, it does have a leak right in there somewhere. I don't know if it's on the solenoid or on the fitting side. I think it's on the fitting side. I'm going to take all that apart and try it again. Also, that transmission plug, those, I had one of those on my video. Those are easy to put in, install. You just undo a bolt. There's a bracket. Slide the speedometer stuff out. It slides right out. Put the plug in. Put the nut, put the bolt back in, and that's it. Lube up your O-ring. Make sure you put your O-ring on it and lube it up. But yeah, I got a leak right there, and we got to fix that. I tightened it up the best I could. It was still leaking. I took it off, and it was actually leaking on this side. So I took this out, and I re-taped this. Now we'll put it back in there, see if it works. So when I took it off before, I could blow through this hole, just barely, but that's all it takes. Now I can't blow through this hole, which is odd because I never even took this off of this. That's the way it was before, and it never leaked. I don't know. But we'll put it back in there and see what it does now. And there we go. Bottle's on. No leaks. Ta-da! And then, I'm going to see how good y'all can see that. I can't really see it either. Zoom in. Ooh. What's that say? 500? Does it say 500 or 600? Either way, we probably lost some pressure in the back. Yeah, I see the bottle's reading just a little over 500 now. So that works for me. All right, I got all that all buttoned back up. Everything looks good. Everything's working good. Haven't tested the purge or the nitrous yet. We have to get everything back in the car before we do that. But we'll go ahead and take the line off this side and get that ready for a 3/8 inch cap, MPT cap. All right, so I took that out. Just got to get a 3/8 inch NPT plug to put back in it with some Teflon tape. And also, over here, I put in a filter. Kind of kinks that line a little bit. I probably should shorten that line and redo that, but that's fine. The tire don't come that far. The tire don't come that far in. For sure it don't. We'll double check that once we get it on the ground. Can't really turn the wheel when it's up on the blocks like this. Or I don't want to. I'm afraid it'll knock it off there. But yeah, put a filter in there. And if this gets in the way of the tire, which I definitely know when the skinnies are on there, it's not going to hit. But I don't know about the street tires. But we'll check it with the street tires. If it hits, we'll make some adjustments there. And yeah, now I'm going to take the tank out. The gas tank in the back out. Alright, so I'm kind of doing both cars at the same time here. That gas tank's got a lot of gas in it. I think it's got about a half tank. And it's going to be hard to wrestle with that thing by myself. So I'm going to pause on that. Christopher's going to be here tonight. And we're going to pull the tank out of it.
How are we going to fix this?
Look, Chris is back.
Yeah, buddy.
We're going to get this cage done this weekend. My buddy of mine, Rich, is coming over. We need to clean up these weld spots and take the tank out. And then I've got an MPT plug to go in that fuel pump. So I'll probably put that in real quick. And besides wiring the nitrous fuel pump, everything up here is done in the engine bay. Chris is checking out the welds. What do you think, Chris?
I like it, man. I like this 4-pod too. The nitrous gauge right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty pimp.
Can you, I didn't get any super glue on the outside of it, did I?
Not that I can see.
Yeah, and it works too.
It'll be fine.
I hooked the nitrous bottle up. I tested it.
No more worrying about gauges fitting this bottle and this gauge foot working. I don't know what the pressure is.
Now you can always see it. Now you just need to hook up a blanket with a switch up here.
I got a blanket, but I don't want to bring it on the airplane. I might think it's a bomb or something.
Oh, you got a nitrous heater? Yeah, Chris got a nitrous heater, so that'll go. I guess we'll have the nitrous fuel pump. Maybe I don't know how all we're going to wire it in, but the fuel pump has to come on. The nitrous has to come on, and the bottle heater has to be able to come off and on. Chris is cold. He's come from Texas. It's 40 degrees, and I don't feel cold at all. There's no wind.
It's supposed to snow at home tomorrow, all right?
Yeah, it's supposed to snow in Texas and here.
I'm just a wuss. That's
So,
all there is.
you want my big coat?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll go get my big coat. But yeah, we're gonna rip the fuel tank out and put that plug in the solenoid over there. I think this is gonna be okay like this. That's a good fuel filter. Yeah, all set. This has got VP 110 in it right now, so we're gonna have to drain that out and put bought some Renegade what is it?
123 Pro Nitrous Extreme Renegade fuel.
Yeah, and we're just gonna run that in the fuel cell for the nitrous, and we're gonna leave 93 in the tank. That's how we're gonna do it.
123 octane.
123 octane. That's crazy. I think it'll be fine on that.
Probably overkill.
Probably is. But you can go up to a 350 shot. The carburetor said it won't flow more than a 350 shot.
Oh, we'll spray at 350. It'll happen.
It's got 300 jets in it right
I
now.
don't know. I feel really comfortable at 300. Like nothing's gonna happen. Knock on wood.
No, I mean it did good. I even put it at
But 350.
pulled 10 degrees out and 12 degrees, and it never skipped a beat.
I'm mainly just worried about the block itself. This is a stock block.
Yeah, stock block.
So
It's a 4-bolt main, but it is a stock block.
I bet people have ran faster than a mid-9 on a stock block. They probably weighed a lot less. A lot of factors.
Yeah. It's all forged internals and gapped rings, though, so
There's a 4-bolt main.
I think it'll hold it.
We'll do it.
We'll figure it out.
If this blows up, I'm going bankrupt.
Yeah,
We're gonna put this car in that corner and let it rot until I can finally financially recover.
but yeah. Got someone out here helping us do the cage. Well, helping. He's doing it all. We're just getting his way. Some progress on the cage here. Me and Chris tacked that piece in, and it took us forever to figure out how to nachos, but we did pretty good. I went to school with this guy here. He's putting it in for us. He's actually doing it all. Now, we're just getting his way. He's really quick at this. But yeah, look, he's busting it out. Looking good so far. Doing work. Well, Chris is working on putting the dash in. The cage ain't welded all the way in. The welder guy's going to come back on Sunday and finish that up. Old guy I went to school with back in the 90s, early 90s. I'm old. But anyway, we decided to do the roll cage in front of the dash, because if you went through here, now there's just too much stuff in there to be able to retain the stuff that Christopher wants to retain in the dash and stuff like that. So Chris is going to put the dash in. We got most of it wired up. The turn signals, headlights, and brake lights are working, but the rear parking lights ain't working. So hopefully there are some ground wires and stuff under there that need hooked up. But hopefully once he gets all that hooked up and gets all the wires hidden up in there. There was a ton of wires hanging down here. He's got it cleaned up real nice. I mean, they were hanging down to the pedal. It was awful. But we took a bunch of stuff out of there. We converted it to manual doors, so we took all the wiring for that out. The heater, all the ducting and stuff's gone, so some of the wiring's gone for that. The fuel and the alternator gauge still work. What else works, Chris?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much it. Speedometer don't work. I'm assuming every time he goes over 80, I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so the speedometer only goes to 80, so it broke it.
It keeps breaking it because this car does way more than 80 miles an hour in a quarter mile. And then here's the fuel pump. I went ahead and took that out while he was working on the interior. Wasn't too bad. There's 2 straps on the bottom. One bolt holds it at the top. I guess you really don't even need to take those bolts out because it hooks in there. You can take those all the way out. Just slide them out the hooks. It hooks in, then bolts in. And then towards the back of the car, there's 2 big bolts that go in. And it's just 2 straps that hold it on. This car don't have exhaust all the way out the back, so I mean it was real easy to take off. But here's the old sending unit.
So the old is 3/8 center unit, and the new 1/2 inch.
The new's, yeah, 1/2 inch, and there's the new one, the big one. So they're right at about the same. I don't like how those go to the front of the car, but what can you do?
It's got the factory center unit kind of style. This 1/2 inch. These are -8, but you can put them down to 6s. We're gonna run 6A. Clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna run 6AN off that. You said those were 8.
That's 8, but it has a reducer.
Yeah, we're just gonna run 6. But yeah, take the fuel pump. This one's also got a vent. It had a vent, a return line. This is a Trans Am that had the Pontiac motor in it. So the feed line went up the driver's side, you know, because the Pontiac has the fuel pump on the driver's side. Christopher tells me these things because I've never really worked on a Pontiac motor. And then the return and vent come back on the passenger side, and I just cut those off. And this one, that was the return line, and this I guess is just the vent one. But yeah, to take these out, there's just this little metal thing down inside here, and it holds. See, it'll go over top of this and over top of that, and that's what holds it down. And you just, to take it out, you twist it and line these tabs up with these grooves, and then that pops out, and then you just pull the pump out. And the same thing when you put the pump back in. Make sure, well, we're going to put a filter on that first, but it's hard to do this holding the camera, but yeah, this, here, wait, let me get it on there. Well, I stand corrected, this one's already got one on it. So when you drop it in, you just line these 3 grooves up with the grooves on there. And, you know, you guys snake it in with your filter and your bobber. That's for the oil level, or the fuel level. And then you got the ground, and then you got the power wire, or you know, the sending wire to tell what level it's at. But yeah, we'll go ahead and put the filter on this one and drop it in. So I wound up having to bend these. I kinked that one a little. That'd be alright. That's a huge size line. But anyway, it wouldn't clear that hump. But anyway, I dropped it down in there. Don't forget your rubber seal. There's a rubber seal that goes in between here and there. Yeah. And then after you line these grooves up on these tabs, sound some light on the subject. Line these grooves up with these tabs, and then just take a screwdriver and a hammer and twist this. And there's these little tabs right here, and there's a notch inside there. When you knock that tab up against this tab, that notch sinks everything down nice and tight. So see, now it's nice and tight up against the gasket. You have to hit this tab with a hammer up into that tab, and that lip, it's lipped up right there, and when it goes up under that tab, it pushes everything down. But this thing, it was just a vent. It just popped out. I'm going to cut the line off of it because we're just going to use the return for a vent because we run a returnless regulator. So I'm going to use that and just silicone this in and seal it. Run this for a return, and then we'll run this line. And I'm going to bend those back down too. Alright, a little bit of change of plans. So this one already had a cap for it, so I just capped it. And then there's this hole, it's just a vent. I cut it off of that big hose crap they put on these things. I mean, I don't even see the point in that. It comes all the way across, comes back to this side of the tank, loops around, and goes all the way back up. That's just foolishness. But yeah, that that's glued in there. So I just put some super glue around it and stuck it back down in there, and I cut it off. So we're going to use that for the vent, and that's just going to be the vent. And then once that dries, I'm going to bend this, carefully bend this back down. I already kinked it. That's a big hose. That kink ain't going to bother nothing. I didn't mean to kink it, but it's hard to bend that stuff, and it wasn't going to fit in there without bending it right there. It's just, this goes uphill. This is uphill, and this is even more uphill right here. Oh, my hammer was holding that on there until the glue dried. And I knocked it off. But yeah, let that dry. And then we'll put here's the fitting. I guess this is 8 AN to 6 AN. I'm terrible at looking at these and telling what they are. But yeah, we'll put that on there. And then I'm going to put a fitting that's going to send it back that way. Maybe a 90 fitting, send it back that way, and then we're going to go up the passenger side of the car, because that's where the fuel pump's at on the Chevrolet motor. And all the fuel lines, there's two, the vent and the return running up the passenger side, and then there's the driver's side fuel line. So I'm going to take all that out, every bit of it, and then we're going to run that all new AN line. And I think it's nylon line. We're going to run that up through there. Alright, that's the finished product. We'll hook the wires up once we put the tank back under there. I'm going to leave some length on them wires and just tuck them back up above the tank. That way you can drop the tank. I'm going to try to see if I can find a connector I can put in those. But I don't think we'll ever be tanking that tank out for a while, as long as that level sending unit works. We didn't put a filter on the bottom of the unit because we're going to put a big inline fuel filter probably around the passenger side door area. But I routed that like that because we're going to come to this side, and up inside here where the return and vent line were, I'm going to take all that out and use the bracket to hold that, to run that up to the front of the fuel pump. Well, there it is up inside there. It's kind of a tight fit. I don't think we're squishing any lines though. Yeah, this line will come out over here, and then there's some brackets for it to run up through there from the old lines. So yeah, it was a tight fit. Christopher had to help me get it up in there, because look at that. That fuel gets to sloshing around, man, and yeah, not fun. Get sloshing around, and one side gets heavy and one side will get light, and it'll slosh back the other way. But yeah, it's just, you really don't even need those bolts, because that has like a little hook, and hooks in there. Then you put the bolt through. And then on this side, there's these bolts. That's it. That's all it holds it in there. Then you got to undo your fuel lines, which I had one over here. I cut. See? And then I had two over here. I cut. I tried to take those off the screw clamps. They've been in on there so long they wouldn't come off. But yeah, tank's in. Now to remove all this old wires and put the old lines and put the new line in. I got the gas tank back in. We're trying to figure a few things out. Something I forgot to mention. When you before you put the gas tank back in, hook the wires up, hook the battery up. Anytime you're working with wires, unhook the battery. But once you get the tank under the car and hook the wires back up, and check your fuel level. Make sure it reads the same as it did when you took it out, if your gauge works right. Now, that bobber that goes down in there is what reads it floats on the fuel up and down, and it reads your level. And you can bend that. You can bend that up and down, and it'll if you bend it down, it makes your fuel level read higher on the gauge. If you bend it up, it makes it read lower on the gauge. But Chris has all the interior on, but the dash lights don't work. The reverse lights and the tail lights don't work. Everything else works. So we're trying to figure that out. And while he's doing that, I'm under here taking the old fuel lines out. And then I'm going to get some of them hoop things to hold the new fuel line. And I'm putting those back in place and run them up. And then I got to remove the fuel line from the driver's side as well. Well, we got everything to work now. The only thing it was is that plug-in for the headlight switch. Man, it was a nightmare it's a nightmare to get in and out. And I guess we got it a little crooked and bent one of the prongs. So we fought with it and unplugged it. And then Chris got in there and finally got it to plug in right. And everything works.
Yeah, so we got.
He put some LED strips to work off the doors.
Yeah. And then
on both sides.
I'm gonna have the radio, a switch panel. That's why all these wires are sticking out.
Yeah, that's where his nitrous
Blinkers
purge
work.
is going to be. Reverse lights work. Turn signals work. Headlights work. Dash lights work.
Windshield wipers.
Windshield wipers work. Everything works that we want to work. So, yeah. And I mean, he got rid of a bunch of wires down here.
Yeah,
Plus
the
the
show that pile over there.
yeah. Plus the emergency brake, which ain't hooked up. But still got to finish the cage, sand it up, put carpet in, finish running the fuel line, take the fuel line off this side. And so the package weight of the cage was 80 pounds. And a lot of that was way too long, so we did cut some of it off. So I'm assuming we're probably going to cut about 10 pounds off. But look at all this wiring that we took out that we didn't need for the I don't know, what all was this for, Chris?
Some of it was for nothing. I don't know why it was there. And then you got radio, air conditioner.
The ducting, air conditioner, wires. We took all that out because here's all the ducting. He's not going to put the front kick panels back in.
Everything else will go back in.
But everything else is going to go back in. Unfortunately, he got the kit with the bars that go through there, unfortunately. So he was wanting to run a back seat, but we'll probably seal up them holes and just what's going on to focus those and just carpet all that with some cheap eBay carpet, parts store carpet, and some spray glue.
Turn these lights back on.
But he's going to put the rear kick panels back in.
Yeah, rear kick panels, carpet.
He's going to leave those front kick panels back out and
paint it. And these floor pans came out really good.
Sand it and paint it all up. Yeah. But a little bit of floor pan needs welded up here. The cage still needs put in. We need to take the fuel line off of that side that comes up and across the cross member. And then we got this fuel line down here that we're running. We need to get some of them loop things to hold it up to the frame. And then we'll run that up here where the vent and the return lines were right there. Which I use that as a ground spot, and that just runs to the back of the head, the firewall, and the fender. Just extra grounds. And then the fuel pump's up here. On a Chevy, it's on this side. Pontiac, it's on the other side, so that's why the feed line for the fuel was run up that side, like I mentioned earlier. But we're going to run the feed line up this side, and we're not going to have a return because that's a returnless regulator. if you try to return a returnless regulator, you'll have no fuel pressure. But yeah, that's where we're at. So run the fuel line, take that fuel line off, sand it up, finish welding a little bit on the floor pan, put the cage in. We need to tack weld on the exhaust. What else? That's about it. And this thing will be ready for a dyno session. And we'll definitely get y'all a video of that. But yeah, we're going to button all this up. Call it a day. Alright, we took all the fuel lines off and ran this new braided line. We're going to use the dowel clamps to clamp it up here in the spots where the old fuel line was clamped to. We took the old return and vent line off this side, passenger side. We got this big filter, which that's going to be clamped up top. We were just putting it at the bottom. Now that cage has still got to be welded in, so we just put it at the bottom just to measure our lines up. But yeah, all that is set. Just need some of those dowel clamps. And then Christopher took the feed line off of that side, and he used the dowel clamps that held those on. I guess that's what they're called. And he put the nitrous. The nitrous line was just zip tied to the fuel line, but now he took that feed line out that went on the driver's side, and then clamped the nitrous line in. But yeah, it's all set up, and now we're going to test the purge. We're going to put the hood on it and line the purge up and see what the car looks like purging it. But once he gets the cage in, then we'll use the dowel clamps. These are the battery cables. And we'll use them clamps to clamp everything back up. You know, the clamps like these, where it's got the rubber around them and stuff. Which that's going to come back some. We pulled it out some. Yeah. But anyway, we'll clamp all that back up. But we're going to test the purge real quick. Also, I don't know how good y'all can see that, but that's all the fuel line that come off of that thing. All that, all that, all that, all that over here. There's a ton. And it clears the windshield wipers. Do it again. On focus. Clears the windshield wipers. And now we're going to purge it. See what it does. Oh man, that's dead. Yeah. That's cool. Play. Alright, so hopefully my buddy from high school that I know in high school that welds, hopefully he'll come back out today and finish the cage. That was the plan. And then Chris is going back to Texas tonight. I'm taking him to the airport tonight. If we get the cage finished, we'll get a video of that, and yeah, just hopefully we can get this thing done in the next, I don't know what we got left, 2 weeks. 2 weekends. We got 2 weekends we can work on it, and then we're just wanting to try to make a heads-up race. Probably be first round duck, but who knows? But yeah. But yeah, y'all have a good day, and we'll definitely get some more videos out.